Are you the same person you were 10 years ago? Find a photo of yourself from exactly 10 years ago. Actually look at it for a second. That person had opinions you'd argue against now, loved someone you barely think about anymore, believed things with total conviction that you'd now find a little embarrassing. Here's a question most people never bother to ask. Is that person actually you? Or did something slower and harder to notice happen over that decade? Some kind of gradual swap where the you reading this right now is less a continuation and more of a sequel. This isn't just a nice turn of phrase, it's one of the oldest problems in philosophy. And the more closely you look at it, the less solid the idea of you turns out to be. Most of us assume identity runs in one unbroken line, a single, consistent self piling up experiences since birth. The ancient Greeks weren't so sure, and they worked the doubt into a story about a ship. Stick with it, and it stops being a story about wood and starts being a story about you. The Ship of Theseus. Plutarch wrote down the puzzle around 75 AD. Theseus had a ship, and as its planks rotted, his sailors replaced them one at a time, until eventually not a single original plank was left. Is it still the same ship? It never once stopped sailing, but none of the material in it is original anymore. Now add a twist. Someone collects every discarded plank and builds a second ship out of them. Which one is the real Ship of Theseus? The one made of the original wood, or the one with the unbroken history of sailing? Philosophers still don't agree on an answer, and some have concluded the question is broken in a more fundamental way. It's not just a thought experiment, it's biology. Your body is doing this to you right now. Skin cells regenerate every few weeks. Red blood cells last around 4 months. Bone tissue fully rebuilds itself roughly once a decade. A study using carbon-14 dating, led by the scientist Jonas Friesen, confirmed this directly. Most of the atoms in your body 10 years ago are simply gone, replaced plank by plank without you ever noticing the swap. And yet, you still feel like the same person all the way through. So what was actually doing the staying the same? Parfit, working at Oxford, spent a huge chunk of his career on exactly this question. His conclusion was that what makes you you isn't your body at all. It's psychological continuity, an overlapping chain of memories and traits where each link connects to the ones right next to it in time. Picture a rope made of overlapping fibers. No single fiber runs the whole length of it, but each one overlaps enough with its neighbors to hold the rope together as one piece. By that logic, the you of today might share almost nothing directly with the you of 10 years ago. What actually connects them is a long relay of in-between selves, handing the baton off one at a time. Psychologists Dan Gilbert and Jordi Quadbach noticed something odd while studying this. People are pretty good at recognizing how much they've already changed and pretty bad at believing they're going to change any further. A 20-year-old will admit they've changed enormously since they were 15, but assume they're basically done growing now. 30-year-olds make the exact same mistake about 40. It happens at every age, the same blind spot over and over. So the promises your past self made weren't lies. They were honest predictions made by someone who genuinely had no way of seeing how much they'd still change. If the atoms keep changing, the opinions keep changing, and even your own sense of being finished keeps turning out wrong, what's left that's actually doing the surviving? Parfit's own answer was unsettling in a quiet way. Maybe there isn't a deep, unchanging self underneath any of this, just the chain of memory and personality doing the job people used to assign to an immortal soul. And if that's true, the real question stops being, am I the same person I used to be? It becomes a question about how intentional you want to be with the next links in that chain, because you're building it right now, plank by plank, deciding what gets carried forward and what gets left to rot in the sun. You aren't who you were 10 years ago. not yourselves, and not your convictions either. What ties you to that earlier version was never sameness. It's an unbroken chain of overlapping moments, none of which need a direct thread all the way back to the start. 10 years from now, someone is going to look back on the version of you reading this sentence the same way you're looking at that old photo today. That future version won't be a betrayal of who you are right now. They'll just be the next plank, the next link in the same chain. Theseus's ship never stopped sailing while its planks were swapped out one by one. Nobody standing on the deck ever felt it disappear underneath them. You won't feel it disappear either. You're already mid-voyage. You always were.